This lesson starts with verb tenses, specifically the present, past, and future tense. So by the end of the lesson, you guys will be able to identify the basic forms of present, past, and future tenses, and use and understand the function of present, past, and future tenses. You will also be able to correctly conjugate regular verbs into the present, past, and future tenses. So your cue words for this time are verb tense, the basic form, present tense, past tense, and future tense, as well as conjugate. So as we learned in our last lesson, verb tense is the time an action or state of being occurs. When does it happen? There are actually 6 tenses in the English language: present, past, future, present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. These are what we call the basic forms of verb tenses, but all of these tenses also have a progressive form. For today, we're just focusing on the present, past, and future basic forms. So, your present tense names an action that is happening right now or happens all the time. It's just kind of a regular thing. It's built with the present principal part. So the other day when we were talking about those parts, this is the one that makes the present tense. For example, I write, you write, she or he writes, we write, they write. Write is the present principal part, and these are all examples of that verb happening right now or on a regular occurrence. Past tense, on the other hand, names an action that already happened, and it's built with the past principal part. I wrote, you wrote, she or he wrote, we wrote, they wrote. Wrote is your past principal part, and all of these things are writing that already happened. We also see this with a regular verb. I jumped, you jumped, she or he jumped, we jumped, they jumped, where our past principal part is formed with the standard ed. And future tense, as might expected, names an action that has not happened yet. And it's built, actually, with the present principal part. I will write, you will write, she will or he will write, we will write, and they will write. Now, we know from our last lesson that when we add a helping verb to a main verb, it typically turns into a present or past participle in terms of a verb part. This is not the case with future tense. It's still considered the present principal part because the main verb is not ending with ing. So I will write, it's still just the present principal part. You're just adding in the helping verb will to create the future tense. And when they're all together, this is what they look like. I stick, I stuck, I will stick. Present, past, and present in terms of your principal parts used for your present, past, and future tenses. Which brings us to conjugation. Conjugate just means to change, and what we're talking about here is the way a verb changes with person, number, and tense. As a refresher, when we talk person in grammar, we're talking first, second, or third based on the point of view that the writing is describing. Number is just talking singular or plural. Every verb tense conjugation has 6 forms, one for each person in both singular and plural. Taking a look at what that looks like in present tense, you see I go for singular, we go for plural, you go for both singular and plural, she, he, or it goes for singular, and they go for plural. On your own, I want you to draw this chart in your notes and conjugate the verb answer, first, second, and third person in singular and plural. What would answer look like? Pause your video, put that in place now. Now we're on to past tense. Again, it's the same thing. For each of first, second, and third, we have a singular and plural. I went, we went, you went, you went, he, she, or it went, they went. Here we notice that none of the past principal parts actually change. It's went for everybody. And that's not uncommon with your past tense. Not always consistent, but not uncommon. Again, pause your video, create another conjugation chart just like the one on your screen, and conjugate answer into the past tense. Pause your video now. Now on to future tense. We're just back to adding will in front of our verb. And everybody gets a will go this time. First person, I will go. Make it plural, we will go. Second, for singular and plural, is you will go. And third, singular, he, she, or it will go, followed by they will go. So one last time, pause your video, draw a conjugation chart, and conjugate answer into the future tense. All right, and the last activity for this round, I want you to label what tense is being used in each of the 6 following sentences. Pause your video, write your sentences down, and label them past, present, or future tense. Pause your video now. And let's see what we got. For number 1, you should have answered that it was present. The lighthouse is currently standing in the harbor, which means it's present tense. Number 2, we should know future because we added that will in there, which means the helicopter hasn't done this yet. For 3, we see that ed, we know that's past. 4 has also got to be past, even though it doesn't have the ed, we have the irregular verb write in play, and this essay has already been written. For 5, should be back to future because we see the helping verb will. And 6, this is something daylight is currently doing in the springtime, so it's present tense. At this point in time, make sure that you have your notes complete and that you answer all the questions in our Go formative. Keep an eye out for feedback and jot any questions you have for me down.